All right, since we're live, so welcome to React Penang Meetup number 6. My name is Jian. In case you didn't know, I'm one of the co-organizers for React Penang. And I'm hosting today with two speakers that you can see on the screen, Wei Xin and Nathan. So, hi, how are you guys doing? Nathan doesn't have a webcam, so but it's fine. So Wei Xin will talk about UI components with Storybook. Last time, a couple meetup ago, we done similar stuff, but because of the time, speaking at the time, GI couldn't really spend into detail. So and then, funny enough, like Wei Xin also wanted to do something similar with want to do the topic with Storybook. So we're very welcome as well. Nathan will talk about React and WordPress. We'll leave the introduction later for him. Just want to spend like a couple more minutes just to do some introduction, and then we'll start with the sharing. So first of all, big thank you to Developer Circles Penang. React Penang is one of Facebook Developer Circles initiatives. So Developer Circles, obviously from Facebook, they have built developer circles in 5 different cities in Malaysia. Penang is one of the first. So the other cities are, KL, Ipoh, KK, and Johor Bahru. So again, just to say a big thank you to Facebook. So React Penang is actually a private group started a bit 2019 September, so about a year and a half ago. So this is our 6th meetup. The first 2 times are doing physical, so obviously during the pandemic everything moved to online, and we're fine with that, no problem. So the whole goal of this group is to share knowledge, and then at the end of the day we try to grow together and build a community at the same time. So without further ado, I'll pass the screen to Wei Xin. So Wei Xin is actually a front-end engineer at White Room. We're actually colleagues. So I can't wait to, I'm very excited to hear your presentation as well. Although it's kind of similar to the dev sharing that you did a couple of weeks ago, but again, I look forward. So let me can you just share your screen?
Sure. Okay.
Right. Ooh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Xin. So I'm going to share about how to build UI components with Storybook. And here's other topics that I'm going to share. Introduction, how to install the Storybook into the project, and how to start to write our stories, and how to name, sort, and group them. And also the most important part is how to interact with our component props. And last one is to build the Storybook into a static file. Okay, so what is Storybook? It is a UI, you can call it as a UI components playground, which creates components in isolation. And why we need Storybook is because mainly 2 reasons. One is for the development, and another one is presentation. When we develop a project, often we are either working in a team, or when we want to hand over the project to other developers. So in that stage, other developers may want to view what's the components have been developed, and what's the props that the components accepting. And meanwhile, for the presentation purpose, is we can able to use the Storybook to showcase the components to the clients or any other stakeholders in a clean view. So next is we will start how to install our Storybook. What we need is just a single command, which is npx sb init. Although it's just a single line command, but it does a lot of job behind, because Storybook will look into our project's dependencies and provide us with the best config that is available. So to save time, I have previously installed the storybook, and now we can look into our code. Okay, so after we have run the npx init install command, we can see that there is a few changes in our project structure. First is inside our package.json, there is a few dependencies installed, and they are installed as a dev dependency is because we only need storybook during development. So yeah, it's installed as dev dependencies. And next thing is the .storybook folder. Inside it, there is main.js and preview.js. Main.js, both are the config file for the storybook, but main.js is mainly the config for the storybook, which extension is going to be indicated as our stories, such as this .stories.mdx, .stories.js, as this extension are indicated as our story. So for preview is the config file for the story that created by our own. Third thing is there are a stories folder created under the source. These are the boilerplates created by the storybook. So we'll remove it for now, and we will create our own story step by step. Okay, and then in this demo, we will need 3 files. One is the component itself, and one is the styling, and another one is the story for the components. So I will create 2 folders. One is components, another folder is stories. And then I will use button as our example today. So we'll create a button.js. Another is and I will put our story in a stories folder. So now we'll first create our button component. Is same as our usual way, which is this is our button, and then it will be accepting a props of children and the variant, the button variant. So in here, I will give it a default value, which is the primary. Okay. And then we'll create our own button. So here's our class name. Okay, this is our component. And then now let's style our button into different variants, such as like this. So this is a normal process of our creating a component. And then now here's the most important part on how we're going to create our own story. So first thing is import the React. Then import our button. Okay, that's all we need to import. And then now we'll export the default. And then inside it will have a properties of title. This is a title for the story. And then for this case, I will name it as a button. And then it should be unique across all the storybook title. And then next one is the component. And then this is the component we're pointing to. Okay, that's all. And then now we are going to export all of our variants. And in storybook term, it's called as a story. Every variant is called as a story. So we'll our and then here's our props. And then it will be a primary button here. And then how we pass the value into our props is using arguments, and then like this. And maybe this is our text, and this is our variant. Okay. So we'll repeat the same thing for other. This is our success button. And this is our danger button. So here is it. So we are going, our stories are ready, and we are going to see it, how it's going to look like. So we'll go to the terminals and then run yarn storybook. So it's running at the port of 6006. And now so we'll open our localhost 606. Waiting for it to load. Oh, it's building. You can see that it's in running on local 6006. Why is it? It's taking some time to load. It's okay. It's okay. I will show another ready example. We'll look back. So we'll look back to our code. while waiting for it. And here's our story. And then how to name our story is because Storybook is using a start case system. So we can use the common case such as the Pascal case, and the camel case, the snake case to name our story. So this is how we name it, and then this is how we name it, and then it will be show automatically have a spacing in between. So you can run. So the example will be something like, let me open the file that related to it. So how this is how it going to looks like. Okay. Wait. Let me see why just now it can't look. It should be working. Yeah, just now is because maybe the web page is not responding. So this is how it's going to look like, and then okay. So this is how it going to looks like, and then so this it will automatically have a spacing in between. But what if we don't want the storybook to automatically make it into have a space? Maybe we want to remain the case, or we want to have a replace the spacing with dash with underscore. So in version 6, Storybook have introduced a rename feature, which allows us to rename our stories. Here is how we something like this. Says dot story. So let's say we want to make it into a dash. And here is it. I think my web page is a bit unresponsive, but it's okay. So yeah, but here's the concept of renaming the story, and we can make it even so now we have more flexibility in naming our story. And let's say if we want to make it more descriptive, such as this is only for dashboard purpose and things like that, so we no longer limit to the naming, the constant naming that we export here. So next thing is we want to group. After we have created a bunch of components, we may want to group them make them into a group. So such as I want to group this button into a form group, and what can I do is just I put it at here, and then using the file hierarchy system and name it like this. Then it will be grouped. I'm not sure why it's okay. I will just talk with the code. And then so then it will be showing the form, it will be showing in a hierarchy method. And then how the storybook organizing it is because how the storybook organizing it is following the time that we created the story. So in the case that if we want to organize them and we want to sort it following the way we want, like such as alphabetically, so we can have a quick way, which is go to the storybook. And then go to the docs page. And then when we scroll down a bit, okay, sorry, I go to the wrong one. Go into that documents, official documents, and then come to the writing story section, and then the naming components and hierarchy, and then come to here, the sorting stories, and then we can just get the options and then paste it into our preview, and then it will sort it. Let's see my web page, is it working now? Okay, it's working now. So let's recap. Just now, when without this, and it's without this, and then okay, let us duplicate these stories. Okay, and then make it into another name. My bad. Should be without the copy name. Okay, then just now, as I mentioned, the title should be responsive. So this should be another name. So this should be and then can it reload? Let me see. It keeps showing unresponsive. It's okay. So it will, after we adding this line, it will be sorting our naming, this naming alphabetically. So at here we can see that at first we are creating the primary button, then second one success button, and third one is the danger button. So since the danger button is created the last one, so it is sort at the last. But what if we want to sort it alphabetically? So we just add in this line and that's all. Then we can sort it alphabetically. And of course, if we want to sort it another way, then we just change put our own logic here. And then another one is, so now is want to edit props. I want to show how to control props, but seems like it always not responding. Let us try it again, see if it works. Give it a minute, see if it works, because I would like to show the control, how to control it.
I think there could be a console error over there. Probably check the console.
Okay.
I think.
But I think it's maybe having the live and running the terminal, and then my computer dead. Yeah. Try to open another project, see is it working. Yeah. See this page, and then this is, this is the, wait, let me see why it doesn't work. Yeah, it's working, so let's refresh. It shouldn't be take long time. It's fine. I try to open another project, see.
If you can kind of wrap it up because time is.
Okay.
Maybe show the last bit that you wanted to show.
Yeah. So I think the last part I'm going to share is, so the last part is as we mentioned, we can build it into a static file. So how we and showcase it to our reviewers, because maybe sometimes our reviewers may not come from IT background, and he may not know how to run the project. So we can just run yarn build dash storybook, and then it will generate a static files for us. And then so it's a static HTML. So the reviewers no need to know how to like use the command yarn blah 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 to run our storybook. They just need to open the static HTML. That's all. So
I see.
Yep. So it will be have a storybook static file, and inside it will have a index. And by opening the index, and you can see the application and see the content inside. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this.
So we can straight away send this folder to our reviewer, and then they can just access it. It's exactly same as what we see just now.
Yeah. So now thank you, Waiting, for sharing. Obviously, it's a bit annoying, especially that like a browser issue, but I think that's very normal when we're doing live. Okay, so now we'll open the floor for questions. Obviously, my questions will go first. But even before that, could you like, I don't know if you have the actual product ready that you can actually see what's it like what's it like in the real production role, like multiple components. For example, you can run the Telebot project.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So while you answer while you try to answer my questions, I guess. So basically, we can build our own components in a normal way that we would. We put them in different folders as we like. So if we want to see the results, or if you want to configure the result, we put them into the .stories extension,
Yeah.
and then Storybook will automatically handle that. And then we will handle the props, basically just to get the styling I suppose, so we can kind of see the styling and everything in Storybook, control the prop and everything in Storybook. Okay, so so how much time do you think you generally spend on Storybook syntax and actually building the React syntax?
I think if we are know well about how the components work, it's not just a few minutes time to just create this file. Yeah. So just a couple more minutes to generate this file, and the benefit is more than that few minutes spent, because when we come back especially when we come back from a long forgotten project, then we can quickly pick up from here.
Yeah.
Like we can straight away view the button here, view what's the button available for the project.
Do you have the thing ready, the screen ready, or you want to share the screen?
It's running.
So another question is that how do you, for example, right? So if you build a bunch of stories and then in the props, like we still do more normal React stuff in the components. So how do you or how do I try to explain my thoughts? I think the question is that how would that help the development in terms of having stories? Is it because everything is controlled in Storybook, so it's easier to know all the props and states that the component can handle? So every time when a new requirements come in, for example, the button never had to handle error state. So now suddenly it's like, not suddenly, I mean like, for example, suddenly people want to say that, okay, now the button needs to handle a loading, but loading when they click, they want to load. So what's the process going to be like?
Oh, okay. So we just toggle the state here, and then.
You're not sharing the screen.
Oh, okay. I think my available also cannot run. Okay, so okay. You can. Okay, so I think we can see from the controls here. So oh, is it? Okay. Okay. So we can see that from the local file that I showed just now, we can actually see the controls. It's also we can have a few peek to it. So we can just straight away change the state here, because in normal development, when we want to test the component and the props pass in may be coming from the state, and we have to manage the state and then handle them. And yeah, so, and also we want to, when we want to make change to a component, maybe sometimes we will want to locate where it is using, and then yeah, so, and then we have to go through the long code and then find where it is. And then also when we want to make change, then we have to go up to the state, and then maybe the state is related to with each other. So yeah, and then we can, so we no longer do that. We can straight away just change our props here, such as like this. And then we can see that this is the edge cases. Maybe this button have a max width, so we can easily know the case.
I see. Right, so we move on to the next question. Putting on the screen, how does Storybook help in the development flow? Let's say you're working in a team.
Yeah, so if we like work in a team, then this Storybook, of course, we are pushed up to the Git. So when the next developer handing the project, then they can also see what are the developed components here easily. Yeah, so that we won't have a duplicate components.
Another question, what about React Native?
I so far as I know it works with a Vue, but Vue.js, but React Native, I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll refer to the Storybook official site.
I see. All right. I think obviously if there are any more questions, can always post it on the comment. I think we'll try to like answer them when we can. Obviously this is live, but it's always going to be there. We can always see it. All right. Just tag some who are you? Who do you want to ask the question to? Then we'll try to be as responsive as we can. All right. Thank you, Wei Xin. Appreciate your time. Well, bring the next one. Bring Nathan back. Yeah, thanks, Wei Xin. So, just fun fact, you're actually the first female sharer. I'll say like, but so. Any girls out there that want to do some sort of sharing, Wei Xin will be a model. So reach out to us. We'll do. So, all right, thank you, Wei Xin. I'll kick you out right now. Yes. All right, back to Nathan. We got the young one out of the way. Now we get the old guy. So, Nathan is actually started as a WordPress freelancer, right? Even until now. So he runs a one-man agency at the moment. Obviously, he's doing very well himself. I actually brainwashed by Nathan to do WordPress, which is very cool. And then we found that we have a lot of similarities because we both do WordPress, we both do plugin developments, and obviously we write React and self-taught programmers as well. So I'll give the stage to you.
Okay.
If your screen is ready, all right. Take it away.
Okay, thanks, Jian. So hi everyone. Welcome to React Penang. And today I'm going to present this topic called React plus Headless WordPress. Is it worth the effort? All right, so this is the topic that I'm going to present today. And before I start, okay, I want to first introduce myself. First, my name is Nathan, and I'm a freelance developer. I self-taught myself how to code, and as Jian mentioned before, I started my career as a WordPress developer, develop WordPress plugins and themes and sell it online. And nowadays, most of my time I spend on developing exciting web projects using some of the latest web technologies like React, Firebase, and Node.js. So if you want to know more about my portfolio, you can visit my website at www.nathanon.com. Okay, so this out of the way, we will begin by explaining what is headless WordPress, right? So traditionally, WordPress is a CMS that allow you to create and manage and publish contents. So as you can see in the screen here, I think if you're familiar with WordPress, you've seen this screen a lot. So the one on the left is the WordPress dashboard, whereby you edit and publish your content. And then the one on the right is the website where your visitors are seeing. All right. So WordPress as a CMS is written in PHP, and it came for the normal WordPress, it came in a single environment, meaning that the backend and the front end is together. So by making WordPress headless, meaning that we are decoupling the front end part and use only the backend part of the WordPress. So in our case, meaning that we will be utilizing the REST API from WordPress so that we can use any web technologies to build the front end. So of course, obviously, this is a React Meetup. Then we're going to use React to build our front end. So here's an example of WordPress headless WordPress setup. So it started with on the left with WordPress dashboard, and then you can add your content there. You edit your content. You even delete your content, and then through the REST API, then we will serve the content to our React app. All right. So this is the a setup for a headless WordPress and together with React. So why do you want to use React with headless WordPress, right? So there are few benefits of using headless WordPress with React. The first, of course, is because WordPress as a CMS is a ready-made system. So instead of build our own CMS or backend system using Node.js, we can actually use headless WordPress as our backend to manage the content. And of course, because WordPress itself is super user friendly, and a lot of people are actually very familiar with it. So we can actually use it as a standalone editorial tools, and meaning that any non-technical person that can create, edit, or delete contents directly from the WordPress dashboard. All right. So because of it's easy to use, then meaning that it doesn't have to be solely for technical person. It can be for any non-technical person, because most of the writers are non-technicals. So and most of the writers are familiar with WordPress. So using WordPress as a CMS has the advantage of it. And the third benefit is you can actually use it as the backend of your React app. All right. So there's a misconception amongst developers that WordPress is merely for blogging or for web design. While WordPress is great for blogging and web design as well, but it can actually do more than that, right? You can actually transform WordPress into a backend system, and with the help of like custom post type, you can even use it as your data dashboard, right? So the last one, if we use WordPress as a headless, if we use headless WordPress together with React, meaning that we can actually take advantage of the multi-site setup in WordPress and set up multiple websites under one WordPress installations. So this will be beneficial if you're running a web agency and you only need one WordPress server to manage multiple clients' website under one roof, right? So this is the benefit of using headless WordPress with React. So let me show you some demo of it. Okay, I'll exit my slide. So okay, this is a React app. All right. So as you can see, my my React Dev Tool widget plugins is turning on in here. I'm using Firefox. So this is a React app, but the content, right? This content is actually coming from a WordPress website that it resides in here in this URL. All right. So this is a WordPress setup, and this is my backend. So I'm using this WordPress setup as a headless to my React app. So you can see that the content is actually almost identically, maybe apart from some font, because in here I didn't load any font script, so that's why that you will see that the font is slightly different, but that's okay. And of course, there are a few color issue as well. There's some minor stuff, but nonetheless, this content from my React app is coming directly from my WordPress, my headless WordPress, right? So if I go to my WordPress dashboard, you could see that I only have two pages here. So the home page and the Meetup page. So it's exactly the same as the one in my React. So this one is my home page. So if I press Meetup, then I will go to my Meetup page as well. So in here, I have 2 pages for my React app, and in my headless, I also have 2 pages. So fun fact, this homepage is actually built with Elementor in WordPress. All right. So if I change, maybe let's add one more dot in here. Okay, so now here I have 2 dots. If I updates, and then in here in my React app, I refresh, then you'll see the update is in here. So whatever content change in my WordPress will be reflect in my React app. All right. So the question is like, how do I do that, right? So I'm taking advantage of React REST API. So this is actually the route of my REST API. So as you can see, these are all the default route generated by WordPress. So there's posts and pages, media, and then users, comments. Of course, not all route can be accessed directly because some route require authentications in order to access it. But most of the posts and pages are accessible publicly unless you do some configuration on your React part, on your WordPress part. So let's say that I want to extract the REST API for this page, right? So the way I do it is like I will go to my dashboard. So if I hover on this, you could see that there's a, let me just open it. So in here, you could see that there's a post ID. It's stated 16, right? Let me close this. It's stated 16. So this is actually my post ID. So in my API, all I need to do is just include 16 as the ID at the back. All right. Of course, we need to use the pages route in order to get the pages. So for this API, if I go to this URL, then I will get all the API content. So you can see that this one is actually the HTML content of my website that is coming from WordPress, and it's obviously built with Elementor because you can see that there's a lot of Elementor class right all over the whole page. Okay. So of course there are other stuff as well, like who's the author, and then the images and excerpt as well. And if there's more info, then you will display on in here. All right. So this is how I extract the data from my headless WordPress to React. So let us look at. So okay. So let us look at our React project, right? So how did I do that? And so this is my structure. Okay. So by the way, I'm using Code Sandbox to do this project. So I will include a link in at the end of the presentation. You will get a link to that can direct you to here. So don't worry about that. So this is my project setup. Obviously, it's using Create React App. So you could see some similarity and something that is familiar with. So basically, it's just divided into 2 folders at the top level, source and public. Of course, public is the one that we store all the index, right? Index.html file. And in here, in index.html file, I actually import 2 things. One is the Google fonts, so Roboto. And of course, I need to import jQuery as well from WordPress. So then in the source, so it's actually it's just a normal Create React App setup with some few configurations. So we just started. Maybe I'll start with index first. So in index, it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's pretty much self-explained because it's very simple setup that just call for the component in app. So in my app, I will just have a very simple setup as well. So for each page, I have a component. So this block, I will show you later on what is this block page about. So it just have these 3 pages. So I'm using Windows.location to detect the route. This is not a very good practice. In fact, this is actually a bad practice. In normal React way, we should actually using React Router. But for this demonstration purpose, I'll just try to keep it simple to use Windows.locations. And I, of course, try to keep my script at minimum level as well. So so the way it works is like if the path name is Meetup, then I will load up the Meetup component. If none of the path name is provided, then of course I will just load the homepage. And of course, if there's a blog, then I'll load the blog page as well. So here, direct to 3 pages. So first, maybe we will look at the homepage first. So the way the homepage works is pretty much straightforward. So I have this one home object, and you could see that I'm using use effect to fetch the data via REST API, and so I have this WP URL and WP REST API that pointed to my constant file. So in my constant file, I have the route of my my Headless WordPress. So this is the domain name of my Headless WordPress and the route for the API. All right. So all I need is add up these 2 variables together with pages and my ID. Then I should able to get back this API. Okay, this data from this API. And then once it is I able to get back the data, then I'll just set it as post. And of course, I'll set loaded as true. So the way I do it is like, so if I go back to this React app, right? So when I load it, I will load up a loader first. So once the data is coming into my React app, then only I'll render it out. All right. So that is the loader for. So use effect to fetch the data, and then because the thing about this Headless WordPress API, right? I'm only loading the HTML content. So meaning that I will still need to add a CSS file and a JavaScript file from my Headless WordPress in order to make the design exactly the same as the one in my WordPress. Okay, so I'm using React Helmet to load all the CSS and the JavaScript. So as you can see that you notice that there's a it's not exactly the CSS file that is default coming from WordPress, because I'm using Auto Optimizer to basically combine all my CSS into one file. So this is actually to make it easy so that I don't have to like track down all the CSS file and the JavaScript file that are available in WordPress, because normally there's a lot. So let me give you an example. If I right click here and view page, source page, you notice that this is all the default CSS file, and then here and then here. So if I scroll down to the bottom, there's a bunch of JavaScript file as well. I mean, if I want to copy paste this thing one by one, it will be like hell of a job, right? So to make it easy, in my WordPress setup, so I'll install Auto Optimizer. So this plugin is free. So basically, you just go to the setting, and then aggregate the JavaScript file here, check here, and then optimize your code. And then for CSS, done the same as well. Once you save, then you automatically generate a cache CSS file and a JavaScript file. So you use that URL, and then you put it in your React app. Of course, there are some exceptions as well, because for Elementor, it will automatically generate a separate CSS file. So you need to include that as well. Otherwise, it won't be complete. So this part is actually a hassle, because every time you update a content, then you need to update this one as well. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So, but of course, there's a workaround for it. You can actually write a custom script in WordPress to automatically maybe put it in an API for the URL of the script and all your asset, so that you pull that API and then you just dump into your React app. Okay. So, and then the last one is basically I use this dangerously set inner HTML to just print out the HTML content from the API. So that's all I do. All right. So this is try to keep it simple. Now, I understand that a lot of things are not up to the so-called standard best practice, but that's not the point on this whole presentation, because I'm trying to keep things simple so that everyone can understand how does it work in the backend. All right. So if we go to the page, if we go to Meetup, then you will notice that it's actually the same as well. So the exactly same setup. So here I have a fetch data to fetch the API, the content from the API, and then once it is returned, then I'll just load up the HTML, the asset, all the asset, as well as the content. So it's actually exactly the same setup. Okay, so I'll show you something different for this blog page. So in this blog page, maybe I'll just show you the live version first. So if I go to /blog here, right? So I will have a separate blog page that is the content is actually coming from another website. So if you are familiar with TechCrunch, then you will notice this is actually some of the top posts that they published recently, right? So as I like strike through, then I can actually press show here to read the whole content. Okay, so this is another way of using Headless WordPress together with React. So in the previous case, I import all the content right from the WordPress. The Headless WordPress included the HTML content as well as the asset and the JavaScript. But in this case, I only import the HTML content without the CSS and the JavaScript from TechCrunch. So if I look at my code, so this is the TechCrunch API because I know that TechCrunch is built with WordPress. So obviously this API is available, so anyone can use it. So the setup is the same as well. So I'll just grab everything. So this is their API. So as you can see, this is all the post details, and in here there's a episode, and then there's a content that I can grab. Right. So then I'll grab all the data in here, and then I'll just print it out using React. Obviously, I have a cut component to display this cut field. So I make it into a sort of like a carousel so that you can, browse through one by one articles. So, but in truth is I actually load all posts together at once, right? So that it doesn't require you to like reload again and again. So what's the advantage of doing this way, right? So if you do it this way, you notice that this one is actually not. Yeah, you notice that the styling is different, right? So this one is actually the styling is not coming from TechCrunch, but coming from my React app. So I declare a separate CSS in here. So if I scroll now, then I know that there's an ID that coming from here, which is called speaker summary. So here there's an ID of speaker summary. So all I need is just put in a separate CSS for that. So in this case, I didn't use any CSS from TechCrunch. I'm only extract the HTML content. All right. So there are two ways of doing it. So remember that there's two ways of doing it. One is you extract the whole page of content together with CSS and JavaScript file from your Headless WordPress. And also the other way, the second method is we only extract the HTML file and we do the styling and of course the effect in our React app. All right. So this is one way. So I want to try another things. So in here, I have this website, PictoChart. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are familiar with it because they are very famous tech companies in Penang. So this is their content. So to everyone's surprise, they're actually building this landing page with WordPress. All right. So this is their API. Okay. So meaning that we can actually extract this content into our React app as well. So I know this page is I have a page ID of 9 because if I go to inspector, so the first one, the body class, right? Then for WordPress, they will always include the page ID as a body class. So all you need is just find here is a page ID 9. So I know this page is ID 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. Where's my Go Sandbox? Okay, here. So I will just create a new page. Let's just call this chart.js. Okay. And then I'll just import the whole home, exactly the same, and then print it out here. And if I go back to the PictoChart website, I have to find their CSS. So lucky for us, they use Catch plugin. So meaning that their CSS is all combined as well, and there's only one CSS file. So I search .css, I only find one. So all I need is I just copy the link, and then I can just put it in here. But before that, let me just show you if what happens if there's no CSS imported, right? So I'll just keep it. Let me just uncomment this one, and I will save. And of course, I need to pull up my developer version instead of the one that's already published in Vercel. So let me go to my app. Okay, so right now default is home. So maybe I'll import chart from. Okay, so I'm going to replace the home with chart. And then I need to change this to 9. Otherwise, it will grab the wrong API. Okay. So let's see what happened. Did I get an error or something? Okay. Oh yeah. I forgot to change the URL. So I need to change it to PictoChat. I think sorry for sort of hack your website. Okay, so I'm gonna refresh. I should be seeing things soon. Yep, I'm getting my loader. And you can see, okay, so at the moment, I didn't add any CSS or JavaScript file. So I'm only getting the HTML content, right? This is all the HTML content. There's a lot of them, okay? So right now, I'm going to go back here and then going to extract the CSS file. And then I'm going to put it in here. Okay, so, all right, so let's refresh. As you can see, it's almost identically exactly the same as the one in, PictoChat website. Maybe the difference is, of course, the font size. No, the fonts is different, and some size is different as well. And of course, you notice that this part is missing. Okay, so this one I think is actually generated through JavaScript. So I didn't import the JavaScript, so that's why that it was missing. But it is good enough. So this is how you do headless WordPress with React. All right. So yeah, I think this is pretty much of my demo. So let me go back to my slide. Okay. So obviously there's a few downsides with headless WordPress. And the first one is when you use headless WordPress, some of the native function in WordPress become useless. All right, things like themes, widgets, all those are basically just unsupported through REST API. And of course, there's no plugin functionality as well, because one of the benefits of using WordPress is to be able to install plugins to enhance the functionality of your WordPress. But however, if your WordPress is headless, then most likely some of the functionality that came from plugins might not be able to transfer to React. And of course, the final one is we still need to manage the headless WordPress server. So it's not like a replacement for your backend, but it's more like sort of like a one-to-one, exchange. You still need to manage the server. So these are the 3 downsides of using headless WordPress. So so the question of this presentation is like, is it really worth the efforts? So I've just shown you 2 ways, right? On the left side is the full site rendering part, whereby I render the whole site. I included all the HTML and CSS. And the right-hand side is whereby I render a specific components. So all I can say is, and the verdict is right, actually, the full site rendering is not recommended. Why? Because while it looks fancy, right, but it's actually not efficient, because this method actually requires more efforts from your end, and you need to modify CSS but every time you update the content, and it could be a real hassle for you as well, because for editor part, maybe they update it very frequently, and then you have to change the CSS frequently as well. So it will be a extra works on your part. But if you only render the specific component, then it is recommended, because in this way, then you only load the HTML content and you are the one that manage the styling in React, and you don't depend on the styling from WordPress. So this is much more efficient, and your editor can create content in WordPress as much as they want, and you only need to extract it using the API and then render the content in your React app. All right. So here are the resources for how to use React with Headless WordPress. There are a few examples in here. So the first one is the link to my code sandbox. You can actually go there and then look at my code and stuff. And you can even build your own sandbox from there as well. Secondly, I want to mention Frontity. So Frontity is a framework for integrating React with WordPress. Personally, I don't use that for this presentation because I felt it's a bit complicated, and I just want to keep things as easy to understand as possible. So, but if you're really interested, you can actually look at this framework. And lastly, I want to shout out for Imran Said, because obviously this presentation is actually based on his code, a lot of his works. So he actually built a Gatsby WordPress themes, and you can actually browse in his GitHub, and of course his YouTube page as well. So a lot of content that you saw what I'm doing today is actually sort of learn from him, and then apply a few things and then modify things from there. All right. So that's all for my presentations. The slide can be downloaded at this link. It's very easy to remember, bit.ly/react-headless-wp. So if you want to connect with me, this on the right side is my contact, my website, my Facebook page, and my LinkedIn page. All right. So that's all from my end. Any questions?
Yo, man. Yeah, that's a lot of questions. I think, can you briefly describe what's the biggest difference between WordPress headless and the standard WordPress setup in the most layman's term that you can put out?
Okay. It's exactly the same. The only difference is if you use it as headless, meaning that the live part, meaning that because in normal WordPress, whenever you make changes, you can see it in a live, right, in a website. But if you do it headless, meaning that the live part wasn't important anymore, because it could be your website could be in another server, hosted by another thing. So in our case, we are using React. So that's the only difference.
I see. So you're basically utilizing a whole lot of WordPress REST API to build into whatever existing app that we can do. So in this case, you're using React. So it could be any language, right? It could be even other server-side language as well. So you're utilizing the power of WordPress to get all the content and stuff. So I'm just wondering, because I haven't got the opportunity to work with a lot of with a WordPress API, revolving the posts and stuff. So essentially, you're allowing non-technical people, or let's just say, just say non-technical people, they can do whatever stuff they want on WordPress in terms of generating content.
That's right.
On here, on our end, for example, React, we can just go and grab whatever the stuff that they want using the API.
Yep. Okay. So this example, it's I think it's the best reflect in PictoChart. So PictoChart, we know that they have an app that do all those graphic design thing and build infographic. So their app itself, obviously I don't have the updated information, but last time I heard is like they built with Ruby on Rails together with some JavaScript framework, which I wasn't sure which one. So, but their main website, their landing page is actually built with WordPress. So when I asked this question, why they didn't build the landing page using Ruby on Rails or anything that is similar with their app, right? It's because they say that the one they're using the website, the landing page, and they have a blog system in there as well. So they have editors that push content into their website. So but their their editor are non-technical people, so it's much more user-friendly for them to use WordPress instead of like build their own system using the other programming language or the other framework.
Yeah, that makes sense. So go back to so other than React, even for React Native, we can use a similar setup where we can get contents through the API.
Yes.
API. Oh,
yep.
That is very nice. So you mentioned that there are, I have maybe a couple more. I think so. You mentioned that there are two in terms of WordPress. You have two APIs that you can get without content, without styling, and one is with styling. So
no. Okay. There's API you couldn't get the styling. There's no way to get the styling. So the styling is I edited manually. So
okay,
you can really get the HTML thing. Yep.
I see. So you can either apply your own styling or you can just grab the styling from the main page.
Yep.
And it works well with Elementor?
Sort of, with a few compromise. So because Elementor behave very different than the other page builder. So Elementor actually, whenever you do a custom style in the editor, they will generate a separate CSS for you. So meaning that you need to include that CSS file into a React. Otherwise, it won't be the CSS won't be loaded.
I see. We have another question. So is it SEO friendly? We can make it SSR.
Is it SEO friendly? I don't know because
setup,
it depends on your setup. I guess if you want to make it SEO friendly, then you have to do something on your React app and not on your WordPress part, because for WordPress API they will only import the content, your page content, and not the other, like the head tag or the one in footer, the body tag as well. So it only load the content part of your pages. So in that case, I don't think they will load all the SEO head that require. So which means that we might have to do something different on our React app. Maybe we can add it through using React Hammer, and of course together with server-side rendering as well. But I mean, I think it's like if we're using server-side rendering, then it sort of defeat the purpose, because you might as well just use WordPress.
I think it kind of depends on what sort of app that like you're building. So if you're only building a website, then using WordPress, since you're already using WordPress, and then you get the power of the plugins and everything else basically. But if you're building an app, or like in our case, you can just grab the content and then stuff. So other than grabbing the content, are there any other like functionalities you can think of?
Mostly content related. Of course, there's authentication as well. We can do all user authentication, meaning that as I mentioned, one of the benefits is like we can turn the whole WordPress into a backend, because normally like the job that we do in agency, right? Most of the time we build data dashboard, right? Data dashboard for this, whether it's a LMS or a CMS or anything, and we build a lot of dashboard. So think about it, if like we use WordPress as our backend, instead of build another backend using Node.js Express or some other server like Laravel or even like Ruby on Rails, then we can use WordPress as the backend itself, because the API do include like user API, whereby you can do authentications and then upload, add new posts on those sort of things. It's very versatile, but of course at the same time is I think it's I haven't really play out through the way what WordPress REST API could offer, but I think it's really powerful, because after all, they spent 3 years to create this thing, and they put a lot of effort in as well. And recently they just add an application key for individual user, so it actually makes the things much more versatile.
Yeah, man, I think I'm very excited. We'll see if there's any like opportunity that we can kind of use it. Yeah, that's very cool. Let me see if there's any more questions. I don't think there's any. So
Yep.
We're about a little bit over time as well, but I'm just adding back Wei Xin. All right, so thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Wei Xin, for the sharing. Obviously, again, I definitely learned a lot. Again, like if anybody has any questions, can always, post it in a comment. So we're actually streaming to Facebook and live, which I mentioned earlier, but there is. So this is our group. React Penang is a private group on Facebook. You can just find us through the link. Answer a few questions. Make sure that we just want to make sure that you're legit, but not, people coming in just to take away stuff instead of learning, sharing altogether. Again, some house rules. Be honest with yourself. Be respectful. That's pretty standard. So it's a non-for-profit group. Obviously started because of Facebook developers, but it's actually run by developers like us, and Facebook gives us a lot of freedom to do whatever we want. So whether it could be like a podcast style, like last time that we did, or most of the time we try to do dev sharing. That's what keeps us going. So if you're interested as the host or want to give a talk, reach out to the organizers on the Facebook page. And if you're hiring, talk to us. Since we're talking about hiring, yes, one of the companies is hiring, which is White Room, located in Georgetown. It's a software agency. It's actually a company of myself working there and Wei Xin working there as well. So if you're a software engineer, we're looking for like JavaScript engineer, to be honest. So and so that everybody's full stack. But if you want to work on front end and stuff, come reach out to us as well. So that's the 30 seconds pitch that I could give. But other than that, is there anything else you guys want to mention?
Yep, I do have something to want to say. Okay. Special thanks to everyone for attending this sessions. So we approached the end of 2020. Hopefully next year will be much more better, because this year initially, if some of you might remember that initially we did try to do a physical meetup back in March, but because of MCO, then everything just have to cancel, and then we move it to live. So luckily, we still able to keep our promise for this year that we're able to do 4 meetup for 2020. And next year, we will have some change of formats. And until it is safe to do physical meetup, then we will definitely stick with the online versions. And we so in compared to like previous years, compared to this year that we normally will do once meetup per quarter. So starting from next year, we will do 2 months once. So the next meetup will be on most likely on February. Then will be 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, and 2 months until end of until we will able to do physical meetup again. So and then there will be a slightly change of format as well. So hopefully that we done enough for everyone here to learn more about React, and then grow with the knowledge that we are sharing throughout this whole year as well. And I'm really grateful that everyone who stick with us and still will be with us throughout this whole year.
Awesome, man. You said it. So at the end of the day, we just try to learn from each other.
Yep.
So that's pretty much why the group existed. All right, thank you guys. I'll catch you guys when will I see you again, Nathan?
I don't know. Next year, most likely next year.
This is our last meetup. So happy New Year, guys. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.